Well, howdy. Let's talk about how to use a grow tent to grow vegetables and how to set it up. So this is my 2x4 grow tent. It's the iPower one that you see on my website. It cost me about 90 bucks. You'll notice that the inside of the tent has reflective covering. This particular model has a window that you can open to peek in, but I never use it. I just open the zippers if I want to see what's going on inside. I have a tray here. Now, you don't have to do it this way. I like an automated system. So this one is set up for flood and drain. You can see the two fittings there. The lower one lets the water come in, and the upper one, the taller one, has a bunch of sections you can add to control the flood height. If you look closely, you can see the watermark where the flood height was. And the other thing I do, I put these waffle grids in. These were seed flats that I cut to fit inside the tray, and the reason for that is just that there's always some water remaining in these trays. You know, if you have a conventional flood tray like a Botanicare flood tray that you can fit in a tent, you won't need to do that because they have ridges that drain all the water off. But most of these smaller totes are relatively flat, and so the water doesn't all drain. You don't want your plants sitting in standing water, so that's why I put these in. If you use your ingenuity, you can find something to keep your plants up so the roots aren't sitting in water. You can do this a lot simpler. Like I said, I like an automated system. So this thing has a reservoir underneath. You can see this board here covers it up so that I don't get any light in the reservoir. And basically what I have is a 2x3 tote that I got from Home Depot. Got a couple of cross pieces across it, and I set another tote on top. You know, because this tent is only 5 feet tall, I want to keep height down. So you can just use the floor of the tent. Now, one thing that's important to point out, you can see there is some white plastic in here. These tents, they come with a floor insert, but it's not waterproof. So I really recommend that you line the bottom of your tent with some, you know, 4 or 8 mil plastic, and bring it up the sides a bit. That way you won't have any water leaking out, because if it's on a floor and it sits in there, it will leak through the tray they provide. So I recommend add a piece of plastic sheet and then put that tray in above it, on top of it. And then if you want, you can just grow in pots. Set them in a pot, a saucer, to catch the runoff, and just hand water. And that's the simplest way to do it, I guess. But for me, I really like flood and drain. It's automated, it's easy to set up. All I have to do is drill the 2 holes for these fittings. The fittings only cost less than 10 bucks. So, you know, it's all up what you want to do. I check on my plants every day, but I don't want to water them by hand every day. And if I do go somewhere, I know they're still going to get watered even if I'm not home. So, you know, the bottom, like I said, is it's a 2x3 reservoir that I got at Home Depot. They call it a 20-gallon. I think it really holds more like 15 unless you fill it to the top. And then I have a pump in there that you can't really see from here, but it's an Echo Plus 396 pump. It cost about 30 bucks. So 30, 40, a couple of trays, 25. So for 65 bucks, you can set this up. Okay, but there's more. Like I said, you need this fan. You need the intake fan over there. I added an air filter, a carbon filter. You don't need it if you're only going to grow vegetables in here. And then you use flexible ducting and you bring the air out. You do need to get the air exhausted from here, and you need a way to get fresh air in. And these tents have a flap here that's screened, and you can open them up and it'll pull some air from the bottom, go through the fan, suck it out up top, and you're golden. Now you need a light, obviously. This is an old Cobb that I bought years ago. It's 250 watts, and I don't usually even turn it all the way up. I use this a lot for seedlings and smaller plants, and I took everything out so you could see what it looks like. It has this pouch here, so I have a plug strip in here, and I have my timer for my lights. I have a timer here for my for watering, and generally I water 2 to 3 times a day for maybe 3 minutes at a time in here. These plants are small usually, so they don't need to be watered a lot. And also I did just add this little air pump here just for the heck of it. You do want to keep your reservoir circulating. You can use a really small pump, or you can use an air stone. And so yeah, everything is pretty easy to set up. The tents are easy to set up. You just follow the directions. They're not the greatest. They're usually in Chinese, but you can figure out how to put the metal together and make a box, and then you just slip it inside the tent itself. And the only thing I can say, I've had this for about a year now. I had one before. I had it for 4 or 5 years, but the zippers went on it after a while. These are much more lightweight than my original tent, but as long as you're careful with the zippers, they should last for years. You can go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a tent. Like, you can get a Gorilla Grow tent, which is the best there is, and it'll cost you 3 times as much, and I don't recommend that you do that. Buy a $90 tent, and if you get a year or 2 out of it, it's worth it, you know, and then just replace it. That's what I would recommend. And as far as the lights go, this one is a Cobb. You can get them, but it's not worth it. LEDs are much better. Regular LEDs. These are more like a spotlight thing. It's a good spectrum. It's a 35K spectrum, so it's good for veg or flowering. But honestly, for the same money, you could get a light that puts out twice the light. So, this one, like I said, it's a 250 water. That's all you would ever need for a 2x4 tent. If you get one that's dimmable, you should have a par chart from the manufacturer, and you can adjust your light by so many inches. If you have a meter, or you want to use an app on your iPhone, you can measure it that way. And you can raise or lower your light, or you can use a dimmer if you have one. Plants like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers need a lot of light. Other plants like lettuce, they don't need as much. Herbs, they don't need as much. But it's important to note, you can give your plants too much light also. So you want to find that sweet spot. I would recommend, I looked at them, Spider Farmer. is a good cheap LED light. It's good quality. It uses Samsung diodes, and that's what I use in my more expensive lights. I mean, if you want top of the line, we're talking Horticulture Lighting Group, HLG. But if you don't want to buy a light and spend, you know, $800,000, look at the Spider Farmers. I have a recommendation in my post for the model that would work with this tent. If you decide you want a bigger tent, you'll probably need a bigger light, and you'll probably want to go from a 4-inch fan to a 6-inch fan. Other than that, it's a piece of cake, really. Your vegetables will do better in a grow tent because you can control the environment. You'll notice here I have a little meter that gives me the temperature and the humidity. So everything in here is automated. You know, all I have to do really is make sure the reservoir doesn't run out of nutrient solution, and my plants will grow. Okay, well listen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out rapiddaily.com, my website, and there's an article that I will link to below this video. And also I have a YouTube channel called Small Farms Big Ideas, and I'll link to that in the description too. So alright, take good care of yourself, happy gardening, keep it green. Alright, bye bye.